We can read them to you. Yeah.
Hey, everybody. Hello. Welcome. So, welcome to our profile. We don't do a lot of lives over here on our profile, or you might be watching this on YouTube or over on our Global Freedom Community page. I'm Jordan Maley. I'm here with my mom, Kathy Schneider, and special guest, Lisa Grossman. Lisa, we are so grateful for you coming out today and hanging out with us.
I'm so thrilled to be here.
Oh,
we're thrilled.
awesome.
We're thrilled. So you guys, Lisa, as you're coming on, say hello. Let us know you're here. Let us know you're hanging out. If you're watching the replay, say replay. But Lisa, I don't even know if you remember this, but we met at an event of a company way back in like 2013. Diane Hockman was there. It was over in Dallas, and we hung out a little bit that weekend. And that was when I first got to know Lisa. But she is an industry legend. And I don't want to tell your story for you, Lisa. I'd love for you to just, if you can, tell a little bit about your story, how you came into network marketing, and kind of what has transpired for you as you've been here.
Well, I've actually been in the industry, believe it or not. We're in September, so it'll be 2 months. In 2 months, it'll be 32 years.
Wow.
So 1988. So it's been a long and glorious career. And the first time I came to network marketing, oddly enough, it was very much by the books. A relative called me, was very, very excited, came over, puppy dogged a product on my sink. It was a water filter. Over the moon, excited how successful she was going to be. It was a very good product. I was having a problem drawing a line between that product, its price point, and how she was going to become a millionaire. So, of course, she gave me a video. And back at those days, the video was a Betamax video you had to put in the VCR, so it was an event. Watched the video, probably was as intrigued as I was confused, asked to go to a meeting, went to the meeting, thought I'd gone to the Twilight Zone, looked around the room, couldn't figure out who I was there with. The meeting went on forever. They were drawing circles. I was saying, what am I doing here? Trying to see if there was anybody I knew because I didn't want them to see me there. And then finally, I thought it was over. So I got up to leave, and it wasn't to sit down. It's the good part. And it was all these people getting up to tell their stories, which was where I got intrigued again. Because I have to say, the first opportunity meeting that I went to could have been a National Lampoon movie. It was not something that inspired you to say, gee, I want to do this and bring all my friends to this meeting. But the stories captured my attention because the people seemed to be a lot happier. And what was so funny, though, was I had gone to the meeting, not under protest, but when a relative asks you to go, whether you're excited or not, you find yourself committed.
Yeah.
And I called my husband from the lobby because there were no cell phones back then, a payphone. And he said, how bad was it? And I said, oh, God, it was worse than I thought it was going to be, except for one thing. And he said, what? And I said, Steve, these people are dumber than us. They're uglier than us. And they're making more money and having a lot more fun. I think I want to try it. And he said, that's fine, as long as you don't tell any of our friends. Well, think about network marketing. You're going to talk to everybody you know. And I could do it as long as I didn't talk to anybody that I knew. So I got involved and did not make a lot of money the first 2 years, but got a tremendous education. And I wasn't looking at it to be a sustainable income at that time because I had one. So it was kind of a side gig before anybody knew what that was. And I learned a lot. I loved it. I wasn't really what I would say over the moon. I achieved a certain level of success, but the sustainability and the duplication wasn't there for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I was in and out and back and forth and up and down. And then I had some setbacks in my own life, which if I went into that story, it would take forever. But suffice to say that there came a point in my life where I needed something to do to support my family. And I came back to network marketing because it was the great equalizer, because it doesn't care where you've come from. Because I had just been through a family business going bad and indictments with the federal government. For those of you that don't know me, I did spend a year in a federal prison camp. It was over 20 years ago. So the second time I came back to network marketing, I had a different need. I did a lot of consulting, and I've done it all in the industry. I've not built that many businesses in a 32-year career, I've consulted, I've opened countries overseas, I've taught, I've trained, I've coached, a jack of all trades and a master of none. And then year 11, which was 2001, I made $1 million. And I was an overnight success after just 11 and a half years. That's all it took. And it's been an up and down career really ever since, and a lot of fun. And I retired from the field in 2012 because I had an income that we built that's very strong with my partner. We still have a big income from that. But then in 2017, I got back into the field, and it's been a runaway freight train ever since. And really, it's the career I waited for 30 years. Because today, through customer acquisition, social media, and the convergence of all that, the sustainability that I felt the business or industry was lacking, at least domestically, because I spent so much time international, was solved. And that was the missing piece of creating longevity within a business, as opposed to the up and down trials and tribulations, peaks and valleys of momentum, I suppose, would be the best way to put it. But here's an interesting thing. Very first company, I liked the product, so I went to the meeting. Did not ever think I was going to look at a business. Was looking at a product, possibly to be a customer, and loved the product. So it was definitely going to be a customer. This one, 30 years later, or 27, or whenever it was in late 2017, same thing. I had no interest in coming back to the field, never thought I would. Tried a product, loved the product enough to know that I was going to be a customer, still wasn't thinking I would do the business, but it made me look at the business model through different eyes. And although we're in different models, you are also working a very successful customer acquisition model where the foundation of it is people using product, not people looking for opportunity. Yeah. And there's a big difference. So you understand what I'm saying. And that, I guess, made the 30 years to get here worth it.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's like, we used to go to meetings and draw circles, and now we draw circles with circles under them saying, these are your customers. These are your customers. And
what's more interesting is we used to talk to everybody about a business and then say, oh yeah, if they don't like the business, maybe you could get them as a customer, but not even really thinking about it. Mm-hmm. And today, so many of our wonderful and best promoters, distributors, affiliates, whatever you want to call them, are really recruiting themselves out of the consumer base. Yes. They're customers who suddenly to say, you know what, I love this. I'm telling the story. I'm getting you business. I'm not making any money. Why shouldn't I get the money? And I'm like, you should. Go work with us.
Let's do it. Let's do it. Yeah, no, I love that. That's awesome. That's awesome. So, so you got back into the field in 2017. And
July 1st of 2017.
That's awesome. That's amazing. And you've built just a global, I mean, talk about like all
I've been building globally since 2004. Okay. And for many years, most of my business interest and the majority of my business was offshore. Most of it was in Asia, where I have residences, and was spending half my time or more up until January 25th, when I came back for 3 weeks and have been here ever since, because the world is, moving in different directions than my travel schedule was. Yeah. But this time around, I have huge business in North America.
Yeah.
And have had the good fortune of sponsoring, actually the privilege of enrolling some people who are younger than me. So they brought a knowledge of social media, systemization through social media. I brought institutional memory and wisdom and knowledge of being old and having done it for a long time. And that's worked very well. So it's certainly been my biggest success. And I had some major successes before, at least by other people's standards. I just, as I said before, they weren't really sustainable. So I always felt that I loved it, but there was some missing piece that was eluding me. That seems to have corrected itself in all this craziness in which we live.
That's amazing. That's amazing. So you started your story with events, right? So I know one of the wanted to talk about is what's the power, obviously. So there's different kinds of events, right? There's opportunity events, there's virtual events, but as far as training events, even generic versus company, like what role have events played in the success of
events are everything, and they're everything for a variety of reasons. But if you want to start with the most basic foundational necessity of an event, This business is person to person, and that's great. It's one of the things I love best about it. But very often, new people are exposed and enrolled by people that they know and by people that have been maybe 2 or 3 days ahead of them, because 80% of new people are ultimately brought in by new people, or at least introduced by new people. So a person's vision of the possibility and scope of what they have in their hands is often very limited to the excitement of some video, their friend's story, which isn't really a big story yet because they're brand new, and what they've heard. So it seems very isolated and alone. And very often people have mixed emotions when somebody's very close to them. It's a conflicted relationship, kind of like if you have kids, you're the wisest person in the world outside of your town, but your kids come home at 16 and tell you they figured something out that they learned from their other 16-year-old friend that you've been telling them for years, because they don't listen. So the first thing events do is they fix two things: relatability and reliability. You see, when somebody's looking at network marketing, relationship marketing, whatever you want to call it, the first thought they have is anybody normal, i.e. anybody like me, doing this? So at an event, you have a very good opportunity for people to find other people that they can relate to. Oh, you're a nurse, meet this nurse. Or let you hear this nurse's story. Oh, here's a doctor. Or, it's not what you imagined it was. There are people that you can relate to beyond your friend. Because what if your friend's crazy? So you like her and you jump in and you have the secret fear that once you get outside the front door out of your friend, you're going to find all these, people that are not people you could relate to, whatever that means to you. And the second is reliability. Until you've been doing it for a considerable amount of time and you have a story of your own as far as success in the business goes, most people that know you think you're going to quit. After all, you always have, and you couldn't have found anything so great before them. They should have found it first and introduced it to you. And so they're looking for reliability. Who's going to support them, and who can they rely on after you quit? Because they think you will. Also, the events expand thinking. They create a sense of, it's not just me. Hey, that's normal. It's normal to get frustrated when people say no. It's normal to wonder if you're doing something wrong. Everybody goes through this. So there's the commonality factor. There's these stories, which I think are probably the most important thing that you'll pick up. As far as training goes, I prefer to think of it as coaching, because success when it comes to technique. Ray is so good at this. Ray's the best implementer I've ever met. He has an ability to take the complex and simplify it. But if you want to bake chocolate chip cookies, and I send you the recipe and you follow the recipe specifically, accurately, correctly, eventually you're going to kick out chocolate chip cookies, and eventually you're going to kick them out without thinking about it. And eventually you're going to feel comfortable enough to say, hey, I bet these would be really great if I put peanut butter in them, and see what that does. So repetition will develop skill. But why don't people do it? It's the lack of vision that holds them back, because our vision pulls us forward and helps us to show up on the days we don't want to, make the call that we don't want to make. So I think events are really great for people to collectively understand that the recipe book is not so hard to come by, but what you allow your thoughts to be, what you focus on, how specifically you crystallize your vision is everything. And we're most likely to learn that from people that are farthest away from us, that we hold in esteem and depend upon to be reliable, and that would be people on the stage.
Yep.
Right, wrong, or indifferent, there is something about that third-party expert who's good enough to be able to be the one that was chosen to be talking to all these people that we as human beings respond to.
Yep, absolutely. Well, and I'm sitting here thinking about what, our experience at our first Ray Higdon event, and Mom can share a little of this too. We had been told for many years that we needed to build an online presence, that we needed to have, that we needed to create curiosity, that we needed to expand, beyond just our little, what we were doing within our own company. As in, we needed to go outside of just what we were being trained to do by the people that didn't know how to do social media, were telling us that social media was a waste of our time and things like that. And we were told that a lot, but it was when we finally went to an event where we had people on a stage that were telling us, they were telling stories. And the big difference, don't you think, Mom, was we walked out believing we could do it and believing it was worth our time, right?
Absolutely.
That comes back to
and
the
the fact
commonality of realizing you're not alone. Everybody has a story, and everybody's story, whether they choose to remember it that way or not, has a point in time where they looked at a bicycle and said, "Oh my God, you know, I can't do that. I'm going to," and then they get on the bicycle and they prove themselves right because they want to run off riding down the street and they fall and they scrape their knee. And then somebody comes along and rides by with no effort. And they're like, "Oh yeah, they can ride the bike, but I can't ride the bike."
Yep.
But then they get to a place where we have all these levels of people with bikes and they see people just like them. And then they see people, oh my gosh, look, somebody's like holding the bike, letting go of the bike. And, you know, they're staying up. They're wobbly, but they're staying up. And then they do that. And that's really what happens, because until we can take somebody that we believe is better than us, which they aren't more, now they are more experienced, they're ahead of you on the road, but somebody that we believe is better than us, and we can really believe that they were where we once were, and now they have gone to where they are at, that we can get there too. And I'm not saying that can happen outside of events, but events are accelerators.
Absolutely.
Events are accelerators. You know, I always want to temper things. So I've always said to people when they say, do I have to go to the event? I don't want to say you have to go to the event to the point that somebody crazy is going to think I told them to sell their car and, you know, take their rent money and get to an event. But I always tell people, if you go to the event has an ability to accelerate 6 months or a year's worth of learning into 3 days.
Mm-hmm.
So if you don't go, is it fatal? No. But if you don't go when you can go, is it foolish not to? Yes.
Yeah.
Well, and don't you think, Lisa, that there is, you know, there's company events, which we know are so important. But I know for the longest time, you know, we went to our company events, but anytime an opportunity came up to go to a like a generic event, like, you know, like maybe GoPro with Eric Worre, or like a Ray Higdon event, or something that was like not company specific, I was always like, oh, you know, I can just buy the CD set, or, oh, I can just read the book, or I'll just watch their lives on Facebook. And then people kept telling me, you need to go to these events where you
and
can,
you're
yeah,
absolutely
network with other
right.
people. And it's just, so don't you think those
Every
generic events are
event,
important? Yeah.
every event or type of event serves a purpose.
Mm-hmm.
And I think company events certainly, there's nowhere there shouldn't be anywhere that can match the understanding of the product training and specific stuff that you're going to get at a company event.
Exactly.
And the company culture is so driven by the events, and culture is the most important thing of all. But companies are limited, and probably the comp plan training that comes from the company is going to be better than somebody could give you at a generic event for your specific company. But when you look at all the things a company event has to cover, the training is basically giving people the recipe, but there's not a lot of time to go deep because there's limited hours and so much to cover.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that I love about Ray, there are a number of generic trainers that I heavily support, but I've always been a big supporter of Ray's because Ray identifies what he wants to get done. So he starts with the end in mind. And for example, rank makers, Ray can teach anybody. If network marketing was golf, he can teach the kid who's never picked up a club, and he can help Tiger Woods get better. But when he developed rank makers, he had a specific intent, which was initially, what about all the people that kind of fall through the cracks, because it's going to happen no matter what anybody tries to do, because the company's got to get the product out, teach you about the product, get the do all the events, make new products, pay the people, do this, that, and the leaders. They've got to work with this person, work with that person. So he focused in on moving people to action. If you could take people that had not moved to action. So they took the action step of saying, I want more. I'll fill out this app. I'll place an order. I really want to be able to go do something, but I'm petrified because I don't know what to do. And he removed the terror of that by giving people very specific, ordered directives, high directives that they could practice over time, preparing them to understand that in the beginning, you're going to suck. You know, why? It's like, what, you know, yes, when you see that person on the bike saying, I can do that, yes, you can. But the thinking that we can jump on the bike and do what they did is how we so quickly go from I can to I can't, because the pavement teaches us a lesson.
Yep. Yep.
You know, so he managed expectations, and he put together specific objectives and had people understand how the actions would result in the objectives or results. And from that, it was able to expand to people who were getting results but wanted to create more leverage. People that were getting results but wanted to fine-tune their process to get even better results or to expand the audience. You know, one of the things that I love about Ray, and I've always loved about him, is Ray has never been one to tell you that you're really going to change the laws of human nature or percentages. You want to do your best work, but eventually numbers will tell you something. Mm-hmm. You know, and the numbers will tell you, let's say that 2 out of 10 people that look at the business with any kind of a serious overview, even if it's for an hour, really give it their attention. Maybe 2 or 3 out of 10 will try it.
Yep.
Well, his goal is not to how do you make your presentation better so that 5 out of 10 try it, because the numbers are the numbers. It's if 2 out of 10 try it or 3 out of 10 try it and you want 30, how do you more efficiently, more effectively create enough leverage that you can get in front of 100 so that the 30 are in the audience already?
Yep.
Not how do I change the mind of my audience to change the percentages. And I think that's why Rank Makers has been such a huge success.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I agree.
I love what you say about managing expectations, you know, and Ray is the master at that, and helping people understand you're not looking to change people's minds. You're not looking to convince. You're looking for the ones who are open. And then of those who are open, you're looking for the ones who take a look and say yes, right? And you're not looking, if someone doesn't respond, if someone tells you no, that's okay. It's just part of the process. You're just sorting, you're having as many conversations, and you're using tools and leverage to make that more efficient, like you said. And Ray is just a master at that completely.
One of the other things I'm so excited about with his upcoming event, you know, when this pandemic, quarantine, never-ending year of 2020 came about, I think a lot of people thought, you know, we always say events are the lifeblood of the business, and they are. But of course, we have a very definitive idea in our minds of what that looks like. You know, everybody may have a different picture, but each of us is thinking the events. So when the events were unable to happen live and in person as we are used to, a lot of people thought, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. If that's the lifeblood of the business and we can't do it, we're all going to die in business. Yeah. If you tuned in right there, I always am careful on video. But that's not the case. But what happened was a lot of people approached the online arena, the virtual arena, with an attitude of it was a consolation prize. Initially, we all jumped on things that was great because we were feeling connected. But then a lot of people kept doing online type of things, thinking, like, we got to get back to live events. Like, this is a consolation prize. This will get us through. But they were focused on the format, not the objective. And what's happening lately, and Ray's a pioneer in that, because good implementers and adapters, Eric Worre too, they watch what other people are doing. And Tony Robbins comes along and does these major events online, but he took a different focus. His focus was, what do we need to achieve in these events? What do we want the outcome to be on day 3 when people leave? What do we normally do on day 3 to make that happen? What do we do on day 2 to create this excitement? What do we do? And he said, okay, now how do we recreate how do we recreate that online? How do we design things where we can't exactly replicate it that get us the same outcome?
Yep.
So there are a few people that are putting together, and I know Ray is going to be one of them. That's why I'm so excited for it. Just what I've heard is this event, Rankmaker Live Online, that's coming up, is not just some sort of go watch television type of event. It's designed to be a very interactive event that creates the same type of results and outcomes that live events do through interaction, audience participation, back and forth. However he's going to achieve that, I have little doubt that he will.
Yep.
Because Ray is many things, but he's among the best implementers I have ever met.
Yep.
You know, I've had Ray call me, say, what do you think of this? Do you have an idea? And I'll say, well, you might could try this. And 30 minutes later, he's doing a live on it. I've never seen anybody who, when they see something, moves to invest, you know, to learn about it, come up with a plan and implement it as quickly. So I think it's going to be a superb event. I know that people are very excited about it. And here's what's so fascinating to me. I predict that when live events return, and they will return, that everybody will still do them. They are a wonderful channel for delivering message, is that we used to think could only be done in live events.
Yep.
But I submit to you that you will see a hybrid where people will do more of them online, because once it's been nailed the way that it's been nailed by these people, by Ray, what people are starting to see is, hey, we can reach more people. There are people that want to very much go to events, but they're not in a position to buy the plane ticket and the hotel room, or leave their children, or they're like so many people in our space. They're side gig people, you know, and they don't have 2 or 3 days to take off from work by the time they come and they go. So, you know, with all the travel time. So I think what a lot of people are realizing is, rather than a consolation prize, this is opening up arenas to even expand your reach, to even expand the connectivity. And people are getting together in watch parties or in people's living rooms or whatever it is. So they're creating events within the events that bring that connection and that studying together. And I just am loving watching it. Because for those of you watching this, how many events, and no judgment, that's why I said earlier in the conversation that if people really couldn't go, I never wanted them to feel like they couldn't be successful because of it. Of course you can. You can be successful with all kinds of impediments. If you have to get to the store, you could ride a bicycle, but it's easier if you take your car. But a determined person will walk if they have to.
Yep.
So if you can't get the car and you're willing to walk, will you be a success? Probably bigger than all of us at the end, you know, even though it takes a lot longer because you were willing to walk. But for the first time, if that was a holdup for you, or if having to go but leaving your spouse at home who you wanted with you, either because you work together, or maybe you wanted them to get a bigger picture, more relatability, more reliability, to create more support for you, you now have the opportunity where everybody who wants to participate can.
Yep.
You know,
Absolutely.
and to me that is, you know, so it's like in every thunderstorm comes the silver lining, that you start to see things you didn't see before. Because how awesome is that? I submit that with this event, probably 10 times the people will get the exposure that can normally get it. And don't confuse what's being done now by these innovators, these implementers, these superstars, like Ray and Jessica. Don't confuse that with live streaming an event.
No.
We used to get a live stream. There is a total difference. And I like live streaming if I can't be there. No judgment there either. But there is a difference between live stream and replay, and watching as a passive observer of a room you're not in, and the focus being you being a part of what's going on when it's done virtually. It is such a different experience. You owe it yourself to experience it, I think.
Yeah. I know he hired the same technology firm that Tony Robbins did to help set it all up, and they've rented a studio. And from what I understand, it's going to be this full 360 experience, just feeling like you're there, which is just going to be incredible.
I will tell you, I did both those events with Tony because I was home. And, you know, I shouldn't really say this because people will always misconstrue it. But for me, in many ways, I enjoyed the experience at home more than I enjoyed the experience. Oh my, what did I just do? Hold on, I'm sorry.
Oh, you're good.
Come back. Yeah, something happened where the picture went away. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's okay.
I enjoyed it in many ways more
Mhm.
You know, I really did. And I didn't expect to. And there are certain things I love about live events. But what I really got to me was you can't go to every event as much as you like to. Not all the time. Many events I flew back from Asia. I flew back once to speak at Ray's event. But when I was over there a lot, if I could come back for a couple of weeks, but to come back and go back in 4 days, I just don't have at my age the stamina anymore. But now the ability to realize that I can go to the live events and all that they offer.
Yep.
And then there's also the opportunity to go to these virtual events online and all that they offer. And I think it's exciting. I'm really excited for it.
I agree 100%. Well, and I think about the mamas with the little babies. You know, it's so, I mean, you know, until you have that little one, you don't understand how, you know, leaving that baby at home and finding a babysitter and that you trust and that kind of thing. Everyone doesn't have family, you know, right there that can just stop and take care. And so I think they're so, I mean, you're so right.
And I'll give you an example. I mean, I love to go to the whole event and experience it.
Me too.
But last year, not this year, last year, I was asked to, literally, there were like 4 events going on at the same time. One for my company, the ANMP, where I sit on the board, one in Vegas that was generic, one in Florida. I was asked to speak at pretty much all of them. But I wanted to go to all of them because they were all amazing events. And you can't do it.
No.
But this year, same thing happened on one weekend. There were literally 4 events going on different devices here. I was able to show up and help all of my friends that asked me and get to watch a lot of each of the individual events. And I thought that was so cool. But from the flip side, there are so many people that would love to speak for Ray Higdon, that would love to be able to come and share their knowledge, that the audience would love to see, that very often can't travel. You know, somebody that is fabulous, whose base is Europe, if they've got an event, you know, the next day or the day before in Europe, they can't get here, speak, and get back. So we all don't get to have them, but now we can. So there are some interesting things with the quality of talent. It's always up there, but being able to bring it all together on one stage, so to speak. So I think it's gonna be a real exciting event. And, you know, one of the things that I love about it is that all of the people that are putting on events, Ray knows, and everybody's honorable. But one of the things that was so awesome about Tony's event was I actually saw some of the babies, 3 and 4, watching with their family, spouses that were coming in. So it's kind of like a family. You're not going to buy 4 tickets if only one person's doing the business within a household, and we expect her to be honorable. But they know that maybe the family's watching along or participating. And it was so wonderful to watch in so many ways. Absolutely. You know, because I would love, when I was younger, when my kids were 13 and 11, they didn't have the stamina to sit through an all-day event at that age. So I could bring them and bring a babysitter or to inevitably leave them at home. But I would have loved if they could have come to hear this particular speaker for 2 hours. And I think they would have gotten so much out of it. And I saw a lot of that happening. I think you're going to see a lot of that with Rainmakers. I think you're going to see a lot of youngsters thinking about their first rink while they're watching this event.
I agree. I agree.
Yeah, absolutely. Cool. So, well, and the other cool thing, you know, which we've touched on a little bit, for those of you listening, when Mom and I went to our first Ray Higdon event, and I mean, I can't imagine, you know, flying in from Asia for an event would be even more. But I mean, we spent thousands of dollars to go to our first Ray Higdon event. By the time we bought the plane tickets, the hotel, the food at the hotel, which is always, you know, expensive.
The food at the hotel, don't get me started. $6 Cokes.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, I don't drink them anymore because of health, but that was enough to make me give them up while I was on those trips.
Well, or $5 bottles of water, you know? It's like
with a little thing around their neck.
Yeah.
That says, I know you're thirsty. If you open my cap, you owe me $6, so drink me anyway.
Yep, exactly. Exactly. And now, so, you know, we can watch this event at home, $97. You can drink your $2, you know, your case of Costco water that
water from the fountain.
exactly, or from the fountain or the OR, whatever. And it's just, your family can tune in. It's just going to be amazing, right? And it's $97. And excuse me, we have several people who've said, well, I've got to work one day. Well, that's okay. Watch the other 2 days, right? Like, there's going to be so much value in this virtual event because you're going to get, so if you tune
Here's
in.
one thing that I want to say, and I want to make sure that people understand the way that I'm saying this, because whenever you try to pay a specific compliment or acknowledge a specific thing, sometimes people say, well, you didn't talk about the other things. But here's the deal. One of the things that I love about Ray is very tactical. And what I mean by that, so I'm not saying he's not all the other wonderful things as well. I'm focusing in on the fact right now that he is tactical. Here's a wonderful thing about tactical people. So often people would say to me, demonstrate to me the value of an event. Like, I spent this much money, show me how I get this much value. And it was difficult because sometimes for me, because I knew personal development is a part of it, tactics are a part of it. I knew that if I went to an event, what it did for between my ears, what it did to listen to the stories of people to help me change my thinking was priceless. But I couldn't directly say, because I sat in it, I'm going to go sell 2 more bottles of X.
Mm-hmm.
So, but when somebody brings you as much tactical information on top of all the other things that you're going to get as Ray, what I can tell you is you will leave with strategies that if you implement them immediately, you can draw a direct line between here's what I spent, here's the strategy I learned, here's how I implemented the strategy, here's what I sold because of it, there's my money. And when it's $97, it doesn't take very much to break even. So if anybody's ever questioning, is it worth it? And to me, it is always worth it. That's why I wanted to give that whole disclaimer at the front. But if there's one person I can guarantee you that you'll walk out with a strategy where you can absolutely pay for the ticket or pay for the time, he's a guy where that's going to happen. Not to mention the fact, and this is really, Jessica Higdon, if you ever watch this, you need to forgive me because I have focused so much on the man, I forgot the woman behind the man, who on top of being the woman behind the man. And I think so much of his success is because he's got that steadying, guiding, brilliant woman at his side. When it comes to like Facebook and social media, a lot of people don't know this, but Jessica had $1 million product launch with how to be successful on Facebook before her husband ever had $1 million product launch. So no, the things you're going to learn from Jessica are just amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. No, the two of them together, they're the ultimate power couple, right? They're just incredible. And
well, one of. Ray,
right?
Eric and Marina may see this someday, and they're co-power couples, and there are a few others.
There are others. You're exactly right. I can think of many. John and Nadia Melton are two that I think of at the top of that list. There's definitely a big list of, we're very blessed with incredible people in this industry. Absolutely.
Yes, Ray and Jessica are like the poster child, 2 small kids. We've watched them start off together, work together, launch their business, launch Rank Makers, have the babies. So yeah, it is kind of like an American success story watch, storybook thing to watch. I'll go with that.
It is. Absolutely. Absolutely. All right, you guys. So I'm going to pull the link up for y'all. Anyone who is wanting to join us for Rank Makers Live, Mom and I are going to be there. We're going to be taking copious notes through every live session. And when you buy your ticket through the link that's on the screen right now, we are going to throw in our 4-week Create Content with Confidence workshop. So if you hang out with Ray,
go?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, we would love for you to come. Ray's the master of ILT, right? Invest, learn, teach.
Invest, learn, teach.
Yep. Invest your time and sometimes money to learn something that you can then turn around and teach to your audience. And that's what we're going to help you do in this workshop. So you're going to come out of Rank Makers with all this knowledge, all these notes. Ray calls them uncashed checks. And we're going to help you take these notes and turn them into a 12-month content strategy for your business. When Mom and I went to our first Rank Makers event, nobody knew who we were. we were, you know, big fish in a small pond at in our own personal network marketing company. But as far as the social media world, nobody knew who we were. And within 12 months, we had built an audience of over 30,000 people. And we did that using a very specific set of strategies. And we've never taught on
I'm
it.
terrible at social media, so sign me up. I mean,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
I started on social media and nobody knew who I was, and they still don't know who I am.
Well, you're a legend, is what you are. So.
In network marketing, but on social media, thanks to a lot of wonderful people who have helped me or had me in their stories or whatever. But I have not been a big content creator because it confuses me.
Well, we try to simplify it, and we try to keep it, you know, very ILT, take people on our journey with us. We never pretend to be perfect. We never pretend to have it all together. Those who are in our coaching programs and stuff, y'all know that about us. And we're going to show
like
you.
I said, that's what I love about things like this, because anything I've ever done, taken that leap, like for those of you that are watching, about a week ago, I said, okay, I'll try Instagram. So if you need comic relief in your day, you know, show up and watch. There's been the support of people reminding me that, yes, it's okay to be foolish. And believe me, I do that well. I can take foolishness to an art, not knowing what I'm doing, to an art form. I think it's awesome that you guys are putting that together, because that's so often the case. No matter how good an event is, it's always wonderful to come out of it and have a mastermind, if you will, that you can be a part of, to debrief the information, figure out how to take that information and translate it into a long-term strategy as well as a short-term tactic.
Yep.
You know what I mean? A tactic. That's awesome.
All the line from the event, what you learned at the event, implementing, and this is how your business grew from that, right? So we're going to help draw that line, which Ray's a master at it. He's going to give you so much stuff at this event. I mean, he's got Shalene Johnson speaking. Diane Hockman is speaking. Diane was one of our very first social media mentors. I adore her.
She's amazing.
Oh, she's a genius.
One of my best friends, you know.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
She's a genius. I just am so grateful for her every single day. And Marina Simone, I mean, I could just go on and on about the amazing speakers on top of Ray and Jessica, of course, who are going to be speaking. But we're going to come and really lock arms with you at the end of this event for the next 4 weeks and help you take that knowledge and really turn it into something, right? Because we've all come back from events and done nothing with it, right? I think we've all been guilty of that.
Really?
Yeah.
Sure, yes.
So we're going to make sure that doesn't happen. So you guys definitely check out the link across the bottom of the screen. The deadline is Friday, but you can get your ticket for as little as $97. If you have a team and you're watching this and you're like, oh my gosh, I want my team to see this. There are 5-pack and 10-pack bundles on top of all of your people being able to attend the workshop. We will also do a private training, virtual training just for your team. We'll help you take some of the stuff we all learn at Rank Makers and turn it into a specific training for your primary company, your products, to help your people, maybe even some of them who are unable to attend the event. So that's an extra bonus we're throwing in if you get one of our 5 or 10-pack bundles. So
awesome. So let me recap if I got to make sure I understand it, because if I understand it, then everybody else will, because I'm slow. So the Incredible Rank Makers live event, which is taking place, dates in October are?
The 8th, 9th, and 10th.
That's what I thought, but I figured I had you there the 8th, 9th, and 10th. You can, if you purchase before Friday, attend all 3 days, all of this amazing information, all these great speakers, Ray and Jessica and their cavalcade of knowledge delivered by superstars brought to your living room for $97. That's unheard of. On top of that, if you want to turn around and be a leader as well as a student, you can bring your team along as well. And if you want to help them do that, you can even reduce the price, because there are 5 and 10 ticket packs available that'll bring the price down even less than that. And on top of all that, you will have muses, guides with you on this journey, should you elect to purchase from the link on the bottom of the page, because Jordan and Kathy are going to work with you to put together a 12-month content calendar and strategy of implementation to simplify and implement and maximize everything that happens that you learn within that Rainmakers weekend. So essentially for $97, you're taking care of 2021 ish.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep, that's it.
You nailed it in a nutshell. That's what you're getting. So, well, thank you so much, Lisa, for hanging out with us. Are there any closing thoughts, anything else you want to share before we wrap this up?
Well, I want to share, it's unusual for me because I'm really telling stories because we got so excited talking about our friends. But here's the thing. I don't know what your story will be when you share your story. Nothing more important than your story, by the way. I don't know what your specific story will be after you attend this event. I just know that it will be radically different than the narrative that you're sharing with people before you attend the event, because you will be changed by the event. So when I look at events, I always think about the fact that if you want your story to be richer, more easily accepted, if you want to attract more people, that comes from the more specific you can be and the more clarity you have in your own vision. So I always say the things you do, you go to events to learn from outside people what you don't already know, to validate that which you do, and to get the courage and the strategies to implement it. What you don't go to events for is to get to know yourself better, but it almost always happens. So when you go into this event, tell yourself your story, the story you've been telling yourself and other people, and sometimes they're different and sometimes they're the same. And then see what your story looks like 72 hours after you finish the event. And you won't believe that you could change so many things that quickly in less than a week. That's what's always the big aha moment for me with events.
Absolutely.
Agreed.
I couldn't agree more. I could not agree more. It's an accelerator, like you said. Anything you want to add, Mom, before we wrap up?
No, I just want to thank you again, Lisa. I mean, this is such an honor. We've known you for all these years.
Please, anytime.
Oh,
We can get on, we can go live, and just let people ask questions one day or tell our stories or have fun. The more we can do to connect in these times, I think the better off we all are. And I look forward to seeing you, figuratively speaking, in a different way when we all go to school together on October 8th.
absolutely. Well, and we're in Lubbock, Texas, and I know you have a home in Texas. So when things open up, we'll have to get together for
absolutely. I haven't been to Lubbock in a long time. You're welcome to come see me in Dallas when I'm there. But truthfully, I think you probably want to come up here to the lake and the boats and stuff. I think it's a little bit more fun. But we can't go to Stonebriar and go shopping in Dallas when everything allows.
That's right. We'll for sure get together. Absolutely.
Thanks for having me, guys. I really appreciate
you so much. And thank you for everyone for tuning in. We'll come back and say hello in the comments when we get off.
Bye, y'all.
Bye, everybody.